Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Went back, watched that Colorado USC game again, and wanted to hop on and talk about what we're learning and what we're seeing from this Colorado team. And obviously, Coach Prime said there are no moral victories. Like he wants to win on the scoreboard. That being said, if you're a Colorado fan, a college football fan, you can certainly go back, watch that game, and have some positive takeaways from that performance. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Colorado fans, Coach Prime fans, Colorado fans, college football fans. This has been just a awesome story to follow, to talk about. The support from you guys has really meant a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, again, would love to hear from you guys as well in the comment section. Let's chop it up there. Without further ado, let's get into this. And the first thing I want to talk about, and this has very little to do on the football field, and you would call it kind of the Coach Prime effect, and that is the effect that he has on the culture of this Colorado team. This was a team that was down 3 scores at half. You could see that in a lot of different ways, going very similar to the game it went 2 weeks or a week ago about against Oregon. And this team came out in the second half and absolutely battled. And I think what is most impressive from this is a team that's largely only been together for a couple of months. And for Coach Prime to come in and kind of have this culture to a point where, yeah, we got our butts kicked in the first half. We came out, battled back in that fourth quarter. That's what speaks to me the most. And you talk about where this program is going from a culture standpoint under Coach Prime with all these new transfers. I mean, he has completely overturned the culture. And to see a team come back out in the second half and fight the way they did, with all these new faces and new transfers, one of the biggest questions was, how well is this team going to come together, right? You have guys coming from all over college football, from the FCS level, from Division II level, and coming into this Colorado program. How well are these guys going to mesh? I mean, we're getting our answer. This team has a lot of fight, and that's probably one of my biggest takeaways. It had nothing to do with the football field. It had everything to do with how this Colorado team came out in the second half and continued to go to battle. And the most exciting thing, if you're a Colorado fan, is, again, these guys are very, very new to this program. What is it going to look like 12 months from now? What is it going to look like a few weeks from now as these guys continue to mesh together and build that culture out in Boulder? Now, to get to the football field, what did I like to see the most, especially from Colorado on the offensive side of the ball? And this has been an offense that's been moving the ball. You take a look at this game. I mean, Colorado outgained USC in this game. They put up 564 yards of total offense. And if you guys have been listening to me talk about other programs, this USC team, I think, is my pick to win the Pac-12, my pick to make the college football playoffs. This is a legit USC team that I think the defense, although maybe still has some ways to go, is a very, very much improved defense. And Colorado just went up and put almost 600 yards of total offense up. But I think what's most impressive from this Colorado performance on the offensive side of the ball is the balance. And this is something that we've been kind of talking about for a large part of this season, is Colorado just hasn't been able to run the football. And when you can't run the football, and when teams know that you can't really run the football and they can just pin their ears back and get after the quarterback, and that sets your quarterback up, your offensive lineup, in a really bad spot. To see them have some success running the football, almost 200 yards of rushing. Anthony Hankerson running the rock in an extremely effective way, runs the ball really hard. Coach Prime commended him after in his press conference. That's going to be key for Colorado. You know, this offense goes through the air. This offense runs through Shedeur Sanders and the talent that they have on the outside. That being said, you can't just ignore that run game. It was Colorado's biggest problem on the offensive side of the ball through the first 4 weeks. And you kind of saw that offense, especially with the rushing attack, kind of get going. And if they can continue this success they've had on running the football, I think if you're Colorado, I mean, this offense is only going to continue to get better. Now, number 3, and this is something that I think is so important, and it's responding to what is your team good at, right? And you see Colorado fans, most college football fans see that offensive line isn't there yet, right? Shedeur Sanders facing a lot of pressure, not really many clean pockets for him to operate from. What does Sean Lewis and this offensive coaching staff go to? The quick game. Hey, we can't really pass protect that long, so we're going to let Shedeur Sanders get the football out of his hands quick, go get it to his playmakers, and let them work after the catch. And that was a really they did a very good job kind of balancing that quick game. And when you start working that quick game, right? The 5-yard hitches, the 10-yard out routes, getting the ball out quick. When the defense starts to say, hey, we got to start taking away, they're kind of picking us apart here. Then you kind of set up the deep ball. And I think Colorado did a really good job of that. The first half, I mean, a lot of quick passes. USC probably trying to respond, maybe put their guys up to the line of scrimmage a little bit more. In the second half, that's when you saw them beating them deep, kind of taking advantage of that deeper third. Shadir Sanders has the arm to attack every single blade of grass on that field, getting the quick game going, kind of neutralizing that pass rush, and then attacking the deeper third in the second half. Sean Lewis and that offensive staff, I thought did a really, really nice job in terms of that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is on the defensive side of the ball. Like, this team is improving in the trenches. You look at this USC team heading into the game, and this is kind of when we talked about our preview 7 days ago. We said, hey, this USC team might just be able to run the football all over Colorado, kind of similar to what Oregon was able to do. And when you have such an explosive offense that Colorado has, teams are going to try to do that. What's the best way to neutralize a really good offense? Keeping the football out of the offense's hands, running the football, working the clock, controlling the time of possession. Colorado on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Derek McClendon, Jordan Dominic, Juwan Mitchell, like, they are really stepping up in the front seven outside of that 25-yard touchdown run for Marshawn Lloyd. That Colorado defense did a very nice job stopping a USC rushing attack that, again, both Austin Jones and Marshawn Lloyd, the USC running backs, were averaging over 6.5 yards per carry heading into the game. I thought that was going to be a massive storyline. USC wasn't able to get as much going on the ground as I thought they were. And shout out this Colorado defense. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that is good, and we'll get into the stuff they continue to need to work on, the recruiting. And I say recruiting because you had some true freshmen really step up. We have to shout out Amari Miller first. I mean, what did he go? 7 catches for $197 as a true freshman. I don't think he caught a pass heading into this game. Having the true freshman step up, and then you go on the other side of the ball, Cormani McClain. I mean, kind of, we've been talking about where's Cormani McClain been. He finally had to kind of be thrusted into action due to some injuries. I mean, he looks like he's coming along too. And kind of going back to Coach Prime and that culture, he's been publicly vocal about Cormani McClain not adhering to the standard. I don't think there's a better kind of mentor for Cormani McClain than Coach Prime, saying, hey, yeah, we know you have the talent to play, but you have to make sure you're in the meeting. What do you say? You got to be on time into the meetings, be practicing the right way. I think Coach Prime is in a perfect spot to get the best out of a guy like Cormani McClain, holding him accountable. That's kind of what he needs as a young, talented kid. And you saw Cormani McClain when he needed to go play some football. I mean, really, really good performance for Cormani McClain, Amarion Miller, Dylan Edwards at the running back spot. 3 true freshmen have been really doing their things. What does that mean? Why do I say recruiting? I say recruiting because guess what? Guys like Cam Coleman, 5-star wide receiver who was on campus, seeing true freshmen be able to have an immediate impact. Coach Prime said in the presser, I talked to a lot of recruits. They're excited to get their schoolwork done, enroll early at Colorado. That's only going to help the recruiting efforts. And we said this Colorado team right now is going to look a heck of a lot different in 12 months. And a lot of it has to do with recruiting. When you see true freshmen like Dylan Edwards, Amarion Miller, Cormani McClain really step up, that's really just going to kind of fuel the fire on the recruiting trail where you're seeing these top kids at the high school level looking at this Colorado program and say, yeah, I can come in and be an immediate impact maker. I think that is really, really good. And Amarion Miller, want to stress him a little bit more. With Travis Hunter going down, you kind of had Xavier Weaver and Jimmy Horn, kind of your only really 2 difference makers at that wide receiver position. You have a third now with Amarion Miller. And Coach Prime said after, like, he hadn't been practicing that good. We didn't really know he had that in him. Now we can start designing plays to get Amarion Miller the touches as well. So just add another offensive weapon, an offensive playmaker for Shadir Sanders to get the football to. Now, the 2 things that I want to say Colorado needs to work on. One, you have to start coming out a little bit better. That is not their first time they've come out slow. They come out a little slow against Nebraska, came out slow against Colorado State, obviously slow against Oregon, and slow against USC. We saw the best version of that Colorado team in the second half. If they can put 4 quarters of that version of that Colorado football team out consistently, I mean, there are just not that many teams in the Pac-12 that they don't have a shot to beat, because that was a really different version from Colorado. And the second thing, you got to clean up the special teams. You know what I mean? You can't be missing field goals. You can't have punt blocks. When you want to compete at the highest level of college football, the margins are small, right? You have to do everything right if you want to get to that kind of pinnacle of the sport. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to talk about offense and defense. Special teams is a massive, massive part of that. You make that field goal. You don't give up a punt block. Those are game-changing plays that Colorado just hasn't been great in. So if they continue to fix those special teams issues, those are going to be certain margins that are going to help them win football games. You got to be able to clean those up. So you come out a little bit better. You clean up the special teams a little bit. This Colorado team, especially in the second half, and I considered myself pretty high on Colorado. You know what I mean? Like, I thought they did a really good job bringing in talent. You're seeing Coach Prime change that culture. I think the ceiling for this Colorado team might even be a little higher than I thought if they can fix some of these things. I get it. There are no moral victories for this Colorado team. Shedeur Sanders said in the press conference, Deion Sanders, like, the expectation is to win these football games. That being said, if you're a Colorado fan, even Coach Prime even said it, like, there are a lot of positives that you can take away from this game and use through the second half of the season. You get into next offseason, continue to build this culture, continue to acquire talent. They're coming. And Coach Prime said it, like, if you don't see what special is happening in Boulder, like, you're just a hater. And I, quite frankly, I think that's true. Like, this Colorado team is coming. They're getting better every single week. I'm really excited to continue to follow it again. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll come back and break down this Colorado-Arizona State matchup later on this week after I get some film in on Arizona. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys, and we'll talk to y'all later.